Well, just
We're live. And good morning. Welcome to Small Business Chat. Morning,
good
Karen.
morning. Welcome, everyone.
So today, oh my crikey. Oh my crikey. Oh crikey even. Oh, not enough caffeine. I keep on saying that. We're talking about streamlining your marketing today. We had a really interesting discussion, and I think definitely in quarter 4, speaking to various people about how they're feeling towards the end of the year, thinking about their goals for 2022, how they want their business to grow. And I don't know about you, Karen, but a lot of people that I've been speaking to are just exhausted. So it is a
Yeah.
case of, okay, when it comes to marketing, the thought of, oh my God, 2022, what am I thinking of? It's like, must pull myself up and I've got to do these things and really make this effort and push. And I think in some instances, that's great. But I just wanted to talk realistically about small businesses and what your goals are and how really we've got to factor in this feeling of overwhelm. This, if you've got that feeling of I can't, like thinking I've just got to do this and get this done. Marketing's about communication, and I do sit there and I think there's something energetically about marketing without sounding too woo here. Um, but when you're sitting here and you're trying to communicate with someone and someone's very stoic and then very, like, they're not really responsive and they're just very droll, it's really hard to engage that in, conversation and nurture that relationship, let alone start one, really. So for me, it was a case of, I'm seeing this a lot, and we've talked about this so many times.
Mm.
When I've spoken to clients as well, it has been a bit of an aha moment where we sort of go through their marketing plans and you can see that they're automatically feeling that they're overwhelmed. They're seeing the timelines, they're seeing what they've got to get done. And this is just their marketing. This isn't even sales. This isn't even client work. This isn't anything else. This is just the marketing. And they're thinking, crikey, how am I going to do all of this? And I've just got to do it all. And I've just got to work some crazy hours because that's what business requires. And I just thought, let's talk realistically about deadlines and goals and how to bring that together, because it genuinely is a case of you can strip it back, you can streamline it, you can have fun with it, you can do something even better and get excited when you see the results about these things, and that will propel you to move forward. Don't you feel?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you're saying in so many different aspects as well, and I see it a lot with people doing the websites. They've kind of come out of this period, of what's happened over the last 18 months or so, and it's just like, right now I've got to get out there, I've got to get it done, I've got to get it, I need to get a refresh, I need to get a new website up, I need to get the content, and then they kind of fall flat because they haven't got the foundation in place or the niche in place, or they really struggle with writing the content, so that holds a lot of people back. And it's the same as marketing, because it's about your comms and your message and what you want to say, and it's just suddenly there's just a brick wall there.
Yeah.
And they stop, and then they feel so overwhelmed, and they think, oh well, I've got to keep promoting myself, but I haven't got anyone where to send them to, and I think it's just, yeah, the whole thing just becomes so overwhelming that they just kind of shrink away and think, oh, I'll just go away on holiday or something and deal with it later.
Just hide under my duvet. Like, don't worry, we've all been there.
Yeah,
We're all
definitely.
guilty of it. I think you're so right. We do want to retreat, and to be honest, there have been instances where I've been part of masterminds. It's like, let's get this done. Let's go, go, go. And
Mm,
I have literally run for the hills because it's like not my style. And we've talked about this before, haven't we? About sometimes finding your own natural style and finding what's right for you, your personality, doing marketing that in a way that's more natural and authentic to you for your brand is far more important than just trying to tick boxes of where you think you should be and what you think you should be doing because everybody else is doing it or having success there. So
mm.
yeah, I think first of all, you made a really good point, and this is why I love chatting to you, Karen, because we always see it, like, we see it as marketing, but it all comes from the same point. It's always from
Mm.
your branding. Like, this is why you started this, and always touching base with that and realizing where that spark and that joy came from. Like, what is it that fires you up? What is it that makes you happy? Because let's be frank, in the days of working, we can forget, we can get disconnected from it, can't we? I've done that so many times. I'm like, oh, what am I doing this for?
Yeah, no, definitely. And you're just like, this is this what I want to be doing, or when you sort of work in a business, or bigger company or something, when you sort of start to feel like, oh, I feel like getting up and going into work, then it's the right time to make a change.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes this can happen in your own business too, but it's not necessarily because you haven't got a passion for it and that driving force and purpose of your business. It's more that you're just so overwhelmed with everything to do, and then you think, well, if this is what it entails, then why am I doing this? Because it's impacting on my well-being, and it's impacting on my family and my lifestyle, my quality time. So again, I think we talked about this before. It's like building your business around your lifestyle, and that's really important when it comes to trying to streamline your marketing to fit with that, because then you will, you'll, like you mentioned, I love it in your post on LinkedIn, Marie Kondoing your comms. And I think it's brilliant. Just cut through it and do what brings you joy, and throw out the things that don't, and just focus on the good.
I think that is genuinely, actually, that's the point really for me, is that when I sit down with clients and I just go, okay, they look at the list and I go, well, what can you do? What are you good at? Like, what do you enjoy doing? And sometimes you have to test and try it. Like, I always thought I'd be great. I write all the time. I'd be really good at blogs. As it turns out, I'm not very organized in myself, because we were talking about doing things properly, and there is a structure to it. So if you think about a blog, you have to think about your keywords, you have to think about SEO, you have to think about what the content is. Does it go back to your pillars? What is it that you're trying to do with this? What's the CTA, like what's the call to action? Or is this awareness piece, or is this an audience building piece, as Janet Murray likes to break it down, which is brilliant. You have to decide what is that piece about. Write the content in itself. You have to proofread the content, which again, I'm not a brilliant proofreader. I have to always go away and stop reading it and then come at it with with pens and red pen everywhere. Sorry for the paper, but I have to. I can't do it on the screen. And then, you have to edit it, cut it back, make sure those keywords are back in there. Like if you've forgotten about them, making sure that you've put them in. Does it balance out? Is it reader friendly? Is it the right length? And then you have to break it down.
You're overwhelming me there, ready.
I know, but this is the whole point, isn't it? Then you've got to think about social media posts, the graphics to go with it.
It is. It's a really good example.
That's just one thing, and this is where I completely froze. Whereas, actually it ended up being super for me to do videos and live streams, because actually this is really quick. That's what I need.
Exactly. And I'd been saying that because I have a thing with sort of blog and writing, and actually it's about perfection. Well, not necessarily perfection, but it's sort of getting it all out there. But it is about making sure that it's also that authoritative piece as well, and coming across that what you're speaking about. And once it's out there, it's out there. Ooh, what are people going to say, and are they going to judge me and everything? But I found it quite time consuming. But I mean, you were used to help me with our blogs. I'd just talk to you and you would then write them up, which is brilliant. And then I would kind of do a little edit on it to put it in my voice. And that worked really well. But same as you, the videos and the live streams for me has been perfect. So, for some people that it might be podcasts, or, there's various different ways I think that you can focus on that is going to be really easy for you to do. Rather than being a drain. Because like you were saying with the blog, there is all those things to think about, but also you don't want people to stop people from actually even starting, because sometimes you just have to start, see, share it out, see what the traction is, see what it's getting, and then learning all the ways that you can optimize that down the line. So, and the same goes for posting. We've noticed, like on LinkedIn, if you regularly post, you start to find your voice and your style and way of writing. So I think just starting somewhere is also good. If you're really struggling to, come up with a strategy or plan, or just those two words just go, make you want to run for the hills. Definitely.
Excellent point, because you're right, not to put people off with that big list, but maybe streamline, you know, just get the first blog out there. Like, don't worry so much about just the strategy behind it, but just to free flow write. You know, maybe there's a way of doing it. Maybe it's not in a blog post, maybe it's you know, on a social media post, just to get that out there. Like, longer form content still preferred. When you think about Instagram, my Instagram posts used to be a lot longer, and so I would put the picture up, and you know, Instagram at the time preferred the longer form posts, and that was doing really well. But you got the engagement. So if there's someone that's like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to write as much, you can still write, but put it in a different context or on a different channel that would suit you. And I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that, like, for example, we chose live streaming because I've got to totally be honest that if I were to do video myself and then think about graphics to go with it, you know, logos and stuff like that, which, you know, you have helped me do, but if this was me doing it myself, it'd take me way longer. So I'd probably just be sticking to Instagram lives or Facebook lives. That's another way of, okay, let's bring it down to what's manageable for me until I can get someone to help me. And that was the key thing for me was, you know, the whole point of streamlining is that you're doing something that you're comfortable with, that you can find your creative. Like, 'cause a lot of people think, oh, I'm not creative, don't they? And that's probably what puts them off.
Yeah.
You find your flow, and then you go, whilst you're doing that and you're getting traction and people are seeing you, and you'll be surprised that people are actually noticing you. Like, I still laugh how people come up to me and say, oh my God, you're so active on LinkedIn. I don't think I am in terms of posts, but I am in terms of engagement. And same with Instagram. I'm not active on the grid as much, but on my stories I will be, and I still have to get my head around Reels. So I've taken a break from that. But you know, you find what's right for you, and people will still see you and go, oh, you're on it all the time, but they won't sit there and go, oh, but I have noticed that, you know, your post on your grid hasn't been as much, or, you know, they'll just notice when you do come up.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're always thinking that person, if I don't post every single day, people are going to miss me. But they don't forget, I mean, not because of the algorithms, they're not going to see your posts every day anyway. So they're not going to know that. And they're too busy, especially if your audience is other small business owners. They're very busy doing their own thing and watching other people's stuff. So they're really not going to notice if you miss a day, or, you know, only post once a week when you were suddenly, you know, when you were posting maybe 3 times a week. So I think it's just to be aware of that and not feel really pressured into sticking to a rigid routine all the time. Good if you can get in that flow and you can be consistent and regular, great. But I think a lot of people suddenly just go, and I've seen quite a few people go, oh, you know, I need to come up with a plan and strategy. So I'm going to take a break. And when I've sorted, I'll come back. I haven't seen them for months.
You're right. Actually, I look at these brilliant content creators or supporters and coaches. And, you know, yeah, of course, I'd love to be posting 3 times a week. I really would. That is the goal. That totally is the goal. And but if it means that you posted once that week, but it was a really good piece of content, don't beat yourself up, but just always think, I am doing this for the moment until I can get up to 3 times a week. Like, absolutely, please do it. Because it is that visibility, that getting to know you. But again, I remember when you looked at various platforms, and like for Twitter, for example, and they go, oh, well, in order to be visible on Twitter, you need to be posting 5 times a day or something ridiculous, because that tweet will disappear in, you know, 5 minutes. And I just didn't think that was sustainable. And this is the other interesting factor is trends. So when we see new platforms, how much do you have to be on there to be consistent? And we were just talking before we went live, but you know, you have a look at something like TikTok, which is fabulous and it's fun and it's creative, and I don't go on there as much, but because I'm not that kind of creator, but I love consuming that content. So I'm more your customer rather than your creator on there. But then it didn't take long for something like Instagram to start putting reels into action, going, okay, so people like doing that. And then you've seen it with Twitter and, you know, voices. And then, you know, LinkedIn stories, and everyone's going, why are they doing stories? It's like, oh, they're trying to be something here and it's not quite working. It's not necessarily right for that platform. So doing something that's right for you, your brand, your customers is always going to be the priority. And if something new comes along, don't feel like you've got shiny object syndrome that you have to jump on it. Sometimes it's worth being patient. Like I really enjoyed Clubhouse. It was perfect for the time, absolutely perfect. Loved meeting people on there, loved the whole idea of audio and interactivity that was there, growing your network. And I still think it's great. I really do. I know there's a lot of people that's gone, it's gone. It hasn't. It's still there. They're still looking at how to make more creators come out of that. I think it's just definitely a niche audience. Personally, you might have some views on that. But also, I do feel that, to do this small business chat, which I absolutely love, we've been doing it for ages now, and I think about it, that's always got my heart. So when it came to choosing, I can't physically do both, but I want to do one properly. And, we talk about small business chat. There's so much that I'm learning still from a digital, I've never done YouTube before. So learning what goes behind YouTube, what's needed to make it work. Again, that's a whole layer of understanding what that process is to make sure we've ticked everything. So it just takes time.
Yeah, and that's it. If you're on so many different channels, you're just going to spread yourself thinly. So at least, if you are focusing on a few, then you can just really drill down and really optimize that and make the most of it. I mean, I was on Twitter, and I've just stopped Twitter. I should probably put a big notice up saying this is that, or just turn it off or something. But I got up to over 3,000 followers at one point, and then I just sort of stopped doing it. It wasn't really doing anything for me. I didn't have the time to really engage in it, and it's okay to do that. I think you mentioned as well in your in the description of the show about the client you worked with, and she said that there was certain things that she felt she had to be on, and she didn't want to just jump off the platform. Missing out.
Yeah, it was one of those things actually, because the conversations come up in terms of Instagram being more video and content creation rather than just photography and pictures, static pictures. And just to confirm, like Instagram have said, it's not just photography. It didn't say that it's moving from photography, like the photo grid. But obviously with Reels and IGTV and stories, you get more engagement. Now, the thing that I find really interesting is that people will go, oh my God, I did this Reel and I got like this amazing amount of viewers. That's great. But were they the right viewers, and where was the results? And this is the other point that we're going to be talking about, is tracking and evaluation. So, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into creating that sort of Reel, like, oh, what do I need to do? Or, or just even coming up with that strategy of like, I need to make sure that I'm doing different types of content on Instagram in order for the algorithm to like me. And so I've got to make sure I put something on my grid. I've got to make sure that I put something on stories, and I shared that grid story to stories. Then I've got to do the Reels, then, maybe longer form content, but just, you have to do a sort of a blend of it for Instagram to really work. And it was just really interesting, because I just looked at her and thought, blimey, that's exhausting. And you could just see she's getting more stressed. I went, do you even like it? She goes, oh, no. And then we turned out that, it's like she's more interested in LinkedIn. And I just, again, I was like, well, don't you want to be on that? There's engagement. It's just totally up to you. I'm not saying not to do it, but equally, wouldn't you prefer to, I personally would love to do more creative stuff on the video for Reels and things like that, but I need support for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus on one channel. Again, we've said this in terms of, when you flow in that content, then you're going to build and grow, and you're going to build and grow in your reach, in your business. You'll get more leads because you are being visible. It's really important to be visible. But equally, it means that once you've got more money coming in, it's like, right, I now know that I need help with social media posts and graphics. So therefore, I'm going to hire that out. Or, Fiverr's so easy to use, or you can find other people on really cost-effective platforms. Totally up to you. But, instead of thinking, oh, it needs to be my professional looking, I want to be really happy with it. Well, just start with something. you know.
Yeah,
So,
and they can repurpose stuff you've done in a different creative way, you know what I mean, by adding images or, you know, taking video and chopping it up and stuff, and transcribing video as well, you know. That's huge amount of content that can be turned into blogs and hundreds of posts. So,
yeah.
so there's those tools out there. It's just, you know, if you can find someone to help you do that, or sometimes you need to have a budget to pay, you know, obviously for someone to do that, or for the tools that can manage that as well. But I think you're right. I think it's about focusing on one thing first, getting that right, getting the money and the clients in, and then you can obviously outsource a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also don't be afraid to push things back. So in that context, like you said, there was somebody that just turned around and went, right, we've talked about this. We'll use us as an example. We've talked about, okay, we'll use this video. Then how do we transcribe that into a podcast? You know, and maybe create a series of some of like the best chats that we've done that we felt was really of value, or some great guests that we've had there. But, you know, we're busy during the day, so trying to learn all of that and get that sorted, it might just, you know, we put that into, right, I'm going to look at that in quarter four, because right now I need to make sure that the comms has gone full circle, so that we've got our newsletters up. We focused on that, didn't we? Making sure that we've got the content, the guests lined up for the year. What are we talking about?
Yeah, we also combined, because we were sharing out to both our channels and both our Facebook, and now we've brought it into just one small business chat YouTube channel, where everything is driving back to that. So yeah, to make it simple, again, we streamline the show.
Yeah, but that's just, we have, haven't we? And you know, there is that option of, we'll use StreamYard to stream into all various platforms, which you would think would make sense, because for us, it's like, we'll get that exposure out there, get that content out there. But we just realized that's fragmenting the reach. So actually, once you're watching it into Facebook, for example, we're not going to see the views on YouTube. So actually, that's why it's like, okay, from that, it might work really well for other people. I think there's no problem with that at all. But we just decided, actually, let's just test this part. And this is the part, isn't it? It's testing, measurement, and evaluation.
Exactly.
What's working, what's not. It's going to take a little time for us to figure out, is it worth it? Should we actually be everywhere in one go? Or can we create a system where we're just streaming live one place, take that content and then share it and repurpose it, rather than do what the trend is right now, is to stream everywhere, go live everywhere, and have different cameras everywhere to think, oh yeah, your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube. I've seen that so many places, and I think, wow, it's really impressive, and there's obviously a strategy behind that. But
it takes time, doesn't it? Because you kind of have to have control over it. I think by doing it the way we're doing it, we have control when we share this video out again onto other platforms, and you can share it on a day when that's your focus for the day.
Yes.
And then, so it's a Facebook one day, and then you can focus on engagement and reactions to that. Then you can share it on LinkedIn another day, and you can focus on that. But if you're streaming everywhere at the same time, and you've got comments and views coming in all the places, you're going to be like, oh, got to do it here, got to go over here, and it's you kind of lose control of it, I think.
Definitely, and I think we're definitely solopreneurs in that respect.
There is I'm not saying exactly. Other people will be fine if they've got a few people to help out. They one person could be doing the video while the other one's sort of managing all the comments and stuff. Yeah,
perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose final note really is that, for me, it's been really interesting, all these different aspects to Streamline. Again, go back to your branding. Think about what gives you joy, what makes you passionate. Make sure you're communicating that, finding the style, the approach, which we've talked about before in other shows, actually, about what's more natural to you. Give yourself permission. Focus on one channel. Like I've always loved, I think it was Phil Pallen from a Janet Murray event, but it always stuck with me. But he said, instead of being on 10 platforms, be a rock star on 3, or in my case, even if you're starting out and it's just one, just do that one really well. But that to me is what's really crucial here. Like strip it back, think about the process that you'll need for that piece of content and where you're repurposing it, because there's so much that goes into it. So this is why I think even at one, especially if you're starting out, if you're trying to build that up, Absolutely. Measure those results for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, and look at your analytics as well, on your website, because if you're driving people, look at your analytics on each platform, but also, if you're driving people to your website, look at what's working, what's not. So if you are blogging and stuff, what are the views you're getting on which blogs, which are working, which are not, because that'll help you then create content that will work with the audience. When you're sending out an email, who's clicking on what, and that'll show you what people are interested in. And then you're focusing more and more on streamlining more and more, rather than just kind of producing and it's not really having an impact and getting the engagement you want. And just, one other thing I was going to say as well is just ask for help. Don't be shy to ask for help when it gets overwhelming. You get people around you and ask for help and get some input and feedback, because there's people, you'll be amazed at what you get when you just ask.
I love that. And also, there's a lot of contention with social media. Like, I think this is why currently having a hate relationship with it in some aspect. That's probably too dramatic, because I do recognize social media for the benefits that it has, but we've talked about, say, for example, Facebook. Like, do we ethically agree with Facebook and privacy and where that's going? Do we, do we agree with sort of big tech and sort of censorship and what's going on? So I'm seeing a lot of things come in here, and it's making me question whether or not I actually want to be part of that community. And we were talking about it as well, and I'm sort of debating whether or not just to come off Facebook altogether. And I see so many people that go, right, I'm getting off Facebook, and then they post something like maybe 6 months later. And it's like, oh, I'm only on this for this one thing, and then I'm off again because I don't agree with it. But
the thing is, there's a lot of people on there, but again, it's, are people on there to listen to business stuff or to buy from you? Oh, you're better off on LinkedIn. And even I know of people YouTube videos which have gone down. So again, we've got recordings and backups just in case.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's important to have backups of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, I am going to Marie Kondo marketing now, because I do sit there and I think I'm going to ask, but does it bring you joy? Because that excitement, that energy, that passion that comes across is something where you just go, I like this person, I want to work with them. It is that you are being a bit more vulnerable with that joy. You're showing what lights you up. You are showing where your passion lies and your focus. And that is going to be really clear in how you're communicating that. So I do feel that it's really important to get that across. It attracts it attracts the clients, and then you have to filter out whether or not they're the right clients for you. Ultimately it drives those results. And I think that's what we're doing this all for, to make sure that we're making that impact and creating the change that we want to create. So absolutely. I think that's all from me. I don't think there's anything else that I had to think about. We've done a bit of a recap towards the end, but I think it was a really good conversation to have.
That was it. Yeah.
Let us know what you think. You've got the comments in YouTube. Don't forget to press subscribe if you like these types of videos. Keeping it real, aren't we, Karen?
Certainly are. Yeah. We'll see you same time next week. We've got a guest.
Absolutely. So fingers crossed, my tech will hold out. But yes, we will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining, and take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.